The Labor Day Parade Grand Marshal nomination is one that the city of Marlborough looks forward to every year. This year, however, the mayor says he plans to do things a little bit differently and has selected not one, but two hometown heroes to represent the city in its annual parade. Meet Gil Zucker and Nunzio Martino, both Marlborough residents and veterans that proudly served their country during World War II.
I said, why me? What did I do that's different than a lot of other people?
Gil, born and raised in New York City that came to Marlborough first for work many years ago, tells the story of how he chose to enlist in the United States Coast Guard shortly after his first year of college.
I knew if I didn't enlist, I was going to be drafted. At that time, we had the draft. And I decided that let me make my own decision as to what service I want to be in. I worked in a galley. They called me Cookie. They put me, and I was in charge of the butcher shop. Okay. I was a butcher. I never saw a side of beef in my life.
Gil says that while he enjoyed his time in the service, his most fond memory is the one that he has of coming home.
We were coming back, and we were somewhere in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and Mike would go on, and this is the captain. I have very good news. We just got orders. Instead of going to San Diego, we are going through the Panama Canal up to New York City, and we are going to get you all discharged. Turning into the New York City port, past the Statue of Liberty, up the Hudson River, with thousands of people lined up along the shore from the windows of the buildings. Here we're getting this wonderful ovation, and coming up the river, it's one of the things I will never forget.
Just across town from Gil sits his fellow Grand Marshal Nunzio Martino. The two are a perfect pair to sit beside each other for the parade. Outside of serving their country, both Gil and Nunzio have one more thing in common. Both just so happen to be big fans of the New York Yankees.
When I go by Fenway Park, it's not one of my favorite places. I say to myself, what am I doing here? I should be walking by Yankee Stadium.
While they may share a love of baseball, Nunzio's experience in serving his country brought back very different memories that keep him grateful to be alive.
It's 75 years ago. Still remember it. I'll never forget. They started a crew up for the USS Franklin. It was a new carrier that was coming. The minute I saw it, I was amazed how big that thing was. It was just, I was flabbergasted it was so big.
The adventure began as the ship set sail to Jamaica on a shakedown cruise and stopped to take a brief leave in Cuba before returning to Virginia. From there, the USS Franklin headed out to the west coast in Hawaii.
After we left Hawaii, we started into the war zone, Saipan, Okinawa. Then we went to the Philippines, and we got hit the first time in the Philippines. And we lost, I think it was 6 men, and we lost 53 of them were injured. But a kamikaze hit us.
After taking the hit, the ship retreated to Washington and began what would be 3 months of repairs before heading back out to sea. While the ship had been deemed unsinkable, little did the crew know what danger lay ahead.
March 19th is when we got hit. We were 50 miles from the coast of Japan. And we had a dive bomber came in and dropped the bomb in the forward end of the ship, and he dropped one in the after part of the ship. They were armor-piercing bombs, and that was all hell broke loose. And we lost almost 800 guys, and they said it was about 250 that were injured. They don't know how many were missing because they started jumping off the ship. Some of them made it, some of them didn't make it. And so we were there for almost 5 hours, dead in the water. We were protected by the ships around us. Finally, The Santa Fe came alongside, took on a lot of the injured, and then we got towed by the Pittsburgh, and we finally got an engine going and the fire rooms going, and we got into Ulithi, which is a safe zone. From Ulithi, went off to Hawaii. From Hawaii, we came right through the canal into Brooklyn, New York.
Once back in Brooklyn, it was time for Nunzio to come home to Marlborough, where he had spent most of his life. Flash forward to today, Nunzio is still living here in the city and says he's excited to be a part of the Labor Day parade tradition.
I was born in Marlborough, so I came back to my old roots.